Hello and welcome back to the Who Asked Me podcast. I know I was out last week. If you don't follow me on any socials, I got sick. I do not know what that was, but y'all, it was bad. I mean, my face hurt, my throat was sore, I was so stuffed up, my body hurt. I didn't test for COVID because I was staying home anyway since I didn't have to go to work. I'm still unemployed right now. I was like, you know what, I'll just stay home. I kind of, made Megan sleep on the couch or in the other bedroom, wherever she wanted to sleep. She likes to sleep on the couch, so in the basement. But it was really, really bad. I'm so bummed because I was supposed to be on a podcast with Hannah and Raven talking about the summer I turned pretty. I had so much stuff and so many plans. I was going to see some friends and I was so bummed, but I'm feeling way better. And I know that I said that there just wasn't going to be one for a week, but there are some hot topics that I really, really wanted to talk about and get into. And I felt like if I waited for the next podcast episode as a whole, it would kind of be like, okay, girl, this is stale tea. So what the fuck are we even talking about? And honestly, one of these topics that we're getting ready to speak on is already the conversation's already kind of dying down, but I still wanted to speak on it because it is one that seems to have our, online culture. And when I say culture of Black folks, in a tizzy. And that is the Crystal from the podcast, The Read. People are saying versus Cardi B. And the thing is, I don't even think this is a versus because Cardi B doesn't know who Crystal is. She was just like, she responded after she heard what was said and she was like, I don't really know this lady. She called Crystal a lady, which is crazy. And I made me realize that Cardi B is younger than me. I always forget that. I'm 33. But if you don't know, Cardi B announced that she is pregnant with her boyfriend, Stefan Diggs' child. It is her fourth child. Allegedly, Stefan has upward towards maybe 3 women pregnant right now. That is not any of those women's fault. His philandering ways, that's not their fault. That's his. That's irresponsible on his part. And I'm going to leave that responsibility up to him. Crystal, who is on a podcast with Kid Fury called The Read, where if you don't know what The Read is and you're listening to this, I find that kind of odd, but it's kind of what it sounds like, a play on words. They read down on stuff that is in pop culture, Black culture, all of those things. And both of them are known for not holding back. You know what I mean? And as somebody who listened to The Read and has always been a fan, is going to continue to be a fan, even though I did not agree with the rant, I can still say that I felt like it was a bit much and it came from a place of misdirected, I don't even want to say misdirected anger. I'm going to be honest with you all. It quite frankly was internalized. I feel like it was internalized misogyny. And this message, this podcast, me speaking on the conversation, it's not speaking to Crystal. Crystal's never going to hear what I have to say, nor does she care what I have to say, much like, everybody else that's kind of coming at her. But for me, it's more so talking about us as a culture of, I'm saying Black people, people of color, because this is a conversation like that that involves most of us. But I know there are white people that listen to The Read and there are white people that listen to this podcast. So obviously anybody who wants to listen to it and actually listen and not be stuck in their ways, that's what I want to talk about here, because I hear so many people trying to either make an excuse for Crystal and what she said, and maybe I do think to a certain level it's blown out of proportion. No one's canceling The Read. If you do not want to listen to The Read anymore, then don't, right? That goes for everything. And I don't think that this rant with Crystal on Cardi is necessarily the straw that broke the camel's back. I think you probably have a couple of other things. And I also want to talk about this before we get into it, say it's okay to take a break from the things that you love. It really is. I don't know if people realize that. I have listened, I think The Read's been on for like 12 or 13 years, and I have listened to it the entire time, but I have not listened to The Read religiously weekly for 13 years straight. I have taken a break from listening to The Read, whether it was because, I didn't want to listen to podcasts at the time, or maybe I was annoyed or at something, or that it's just that. I think people need to learn a happy medium and learn, conversations can be had. And I think that this was said partially out of a place of entertainment, but I also think that it got taken to past the entertainment part. And when I say that, I think of this is such a random reference for me. But do y'all remember the shows Daily Pop and Nightly Pop? I can't remember specifically what the joke was, but Morgan Stewart, who was on on both of those shows, she made a joke about Justin Bieber, and it was so random it would not register to me or you or anybody else, but guess who it did register to and whose lap it landed in? Justin Bieber's. And Justin Bieber ended up calling her out and was like, fuck that, like I don't think that's funny, blah blah. And she was like, oh wow, like definitely sorry, like I didn't, I was joking, I didn't think that it was that big of a deal. And I do think that sometimes when we are talking, and when I want y'all to, before we get into this conversation as well, when I say we, I'm absolutely included in this. I don't ever want anybody to think like, oh, I say we people, this, blah, blah, blah. I am included in that. I think a lot of times when us podcasters or even, pop culture commentators comment on things that we think is going to be funny, we don't necessarily think about it landing in the laps of the people that we are talking about, because in our minds, there's such a huge space between them and us. And that there is, right? There is. But when the internet is involved, you never know what's going to latch on. You never know what people are going to hype up and spin up. And I get that it's all in the name of entertainment, but we are still talking about people here, right? And celebrities, they're people just like us, right? So if you don't know, if you didn't hear the rant, because it actually wasn't a part of the read section of the podcast, Crystal went on a rant, and she has been talking around the last few weeks of when there's been, or there was speculation that Cardi was pregnant. Cardi confirmed her pregnancy. Leading up to that, Crystal was continuously like talking about if Cardi was pregnant again, and she would have these little rants. And for me personally, I was like, okay, I don't give a fuck. Like, let's move on, right? When it was confirmed, I was like, oh, I did think about it. I was like, oh, Crystal been talking about that for a while now. So Crystal, one thing I want to point out is that Crystal is 40 years old, I think she said. And she, like I said, the Read has been on making episodes for the past like 12 or 13 years. More than 10, less than 15. I know that much. So give or take, Crystal has been on air on a podcast mic since her late 20s. And I think one thing that even myself, who has been doing this podcast for the last 4 years, I could listen back to old episodes and I would be like, I don't align with that anymore. Or, wow, I thought I was so like, mature and everything back then. I'm 33. So since I was 29, there would be things I'm like, wow, that was very 29 of me. Right. So I think that it's kind of hard. I highly doubt Crystal listens back to any old episodes of the Read. I think that one thing as we get older, especially out of your 20s into your like real adulthood, is that we as people think that, oh, we're not going to be like our moms and dads and our elders, that older generation. They're so close-minded, they're so this, they're so that. And then we slowly start to embody and uphold the things that we thought that we were so much like we had grown from, and we were, for lack of a better term, better than. And I do think that is what happened with Crystal, because when I heard what she said, I wasn't necessarily shocked, because Crystal is a 40-year-old Black woman from Oklahoma. And during that rant, she sounded like a 40-year-old Black woman from Oklahoma. Whether it was 2025 or 1990, or she sounded like a 40-year-old Black woman from Oklahoma. Not necessarily a bad thing, you know what I mean? Again, I've listened to the Read for a long time now, and while Crystal does embrace her Oklahomian roots, I think she's been a New Yorker for however long now, and I think that she also holds herself in a little bit higher regard than that. So one of the things she said while ranting about Cardi B being pregnant is that she hopes that she does not die getting up off the table after the mommy makeover. I think that's a harsh thing to say because I don't play about death. Okay. As somebody who has dabbled in comedy, I also do know that like part of comedy is the shock factor. So I don't think that Crystal meant that in like I don't think she was wishing her death. I just think that's a very harsh thing to say. It also doesn't really make sense to me because Cardi already has had the mommy makeover surgery. She's had a BBL. I don't know if she's had anything done to her tummy. She has a breast augmentation, right? She has had these surgeries. So that's why I found that a little odd. And, Crystal has been getting a lot of heat for what she said. She finds it, in a nutshell, she finds it irresponsible for the sake of the children because Cardi is going through a divorce with Offset. They're not officially divorced yet. He wants a substantial amount of money from her and she is not giving it to him. And honestly, as somebody who has gone through a divorce, and doesn't have any money, I would hold out on that as well. And I would not stop my life. And I'll get to that part in a little bit when it comes to divorce. But she had 3 kids. Cardi B had 3 kids with her husband. I'm not here to tell you how you should or should not have kids, but that is how society, y'all try to say, the proverbial y'all try to say we should do it, is we should have kids with our husband. She had 3 children with her husband. The last one that they had together, the baby came, I think it's a girl, came at a time in that they had filed for divorce. So she filed for divorce while she was still pregnant with that child. I think that it is courageous for a woman to file for divorce while pregnant with a man's baby. I don't think people really understand that because while I don't like cheating, I think that there's, besides like the majors of like putting your hands and stuff like that on somebody, I think cheating on your pregnant wife or pregnant girlfriend or whatever, and she doesn't know and she finds out while she's pregnant, I think that is one of the lowest fucking things that you can do because the hormones that go through a woman's body while she's pregnant, then once she has birth, the last thing she should be thinking about is your ass cheating on her. And a lot of women, they stay and they forgive because there's such a conflicting it's so conflicting, right? You just gave birth. This is supposed to be a happy time with your baby, and then you're dealing with everything that your body is going through and your mind is going through from giving birth. And you are also dealing with the fact that this man has cheated on you. He has betrayed your trust. But a lot of women, sometimes they don't even have like time to really wrap their mind around that because they need and want help with this baby. And what they had pictured in their mind was not this. So a lot of the times they just sweep it under the rug and they forgive them and keep going. And I personally think that that's what those fucking men count on. And I just think it's disgusting. I really do. And Cardi has talked a lot about how she got the strength to leave him and say, enough, I don't want to deal with this while pregnant with that last child. And so I bet I'm not Cardi, but I would be willing to bet money that while those circumstances don't seem ideal to us, getting a divorce or filing divorce while you are pregnant with somebody's child, I am thinking from what I have heard Cardi say, she felt like once she dealt with that, she could get through anything because it was really, really, really hard for her. It was really hard. So being pregnant with your new boyfriend's or newer relationship's child, it's probably like, okay, I proved to myself that I could deal with that while like with the last baby and knowing what my mind or what my mental was for this last child. So I got this down packed. I got no problem, right? I don't know it, but if I had to put some reasoning behind it, I bet that would be it. So 4 children, 2 baby daddies. It's really not, I'm not counting baby daddies. So people are also like, people including Crystal being like, oh, I care about the kids, the well-being of the kids. We don't actually know what goes on in Cardi's house, right? What I have seen, her children seem to be very taken care of. And that's what leaves me really confused. And I'm kind of laughing because when people in general, I feel like in this society, are wanting to get their point across, especially their judgment of a woman or judgment of something they feel like somebody should not be doing, it's almost always they ration it in their mind and then out of their mouth to the masses as I care about the kids, save the children, but kids deserve the best, blah, 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 blah. Absolutely. It's easy to say that, especially when you don't have kids. So Crystal has talked ad nauseum as well about she does not want to be a mother to a human kid, right? She has opted to not do that. She doesn't want to carry a child. She does not want to parent a human child. You have decided that you will never be in Cardi's shoes. Therefore, I do think that there is a lot, and as somebody who listened to the read, this is beyond Cardi. I do think that personally, Crystal passes a lot of judgment on people that are parents when she has decided to not be a part of that. And it's beyond, for me, it's beyond the basic, like, don't hit your kids, treat your kids right, XYZ, because I do think that what the of having a child is kind of selfish, and which can turn and does turn, if you were a good parent, into selflessness. But the idea of like being ready to have a child, that is just what that is. It's an idea. You're never, ever, ever fully ready. And even, I want to be clear, because I know that there are a lot of people who have, experienced loss and experienced, things and that have been ready and wanting a child. Absolutely. But there are some things that come with being a parent that maybe you were not ready for or prepared for. I just want to be clear with that. I think that there's a lot of judgment being passed around from people who are not parents or people who are not in the same circumstances. So that leads me to the next point. A lot of people that are on Crystal did nothing wrong, she said what needed to be said. Why do you, what makes you think that she said, just because Cardi B is a public figure, she is not getting on live or getting on social media and asking us to come pick up the kids so she can go perform at a concert. She's not asking us for any handouts. She's not asking us for anything. She's performing. She's offering us her form of art, right, and entertainment. She's not asking for anything from us. So it's like almost like people who are extremely judgmental of Cardi for a multitude of reasons, but for this one deciding to have this baby, they think they're in community with Cardi, and they're not. This is not your homegirl who's calling you borrowing $100 for an Uber to work and asking you to watch her kid while she does that, having another baby. Then, yeah, it's like, okay, I'm still not going to have too much to say. If you are asking me for money and asking me to watch your child, yes, you are then putting some of the responsibility, or trying to, at least, if I accept, and I'm accepting the responsibility to a certain degree, if I agree to watch your child and give you money. Yes, I'm going to be like, okay, wow. And I can say, listen, I am helping you as much as you can, or as much as I can, and I cannot help you with 2 children because I didn't decide to have 2 children, right? But that's not what Cardi is doing. We are in a sense in community with her because of culture, not her child culture, but the culture. But we are not her community. We are not her community. Be a fan or don't be a fan, but her having another child does not affect us. I think a lot of people are triggered from their own personal sense, and they need to work that out within themselves. And that's including Crystal. Again, as somebody who likes to read, I wasn't surprised when she said, she got on and was like, oh, I'm so unbothered, I don't care. Crystal, again, if you've listened to the read, she was clearing up that she went to school, got a master's in mental health. I don't know the psychology, I don't really know, but people were calling her a therapist. She's not a therapist, right? I think that having some of the conversations, because a lot of this is for, again, entertainment, comedy, and sometimes that does cross the line. I think that for me also, Crystal and Kid Fury talking about mental health as much as they do and caring about kids as much as they do, and then Kid Fury didn't say this, but Crystal saying the things that she said, if we want to get into it, caring for them kids, those kids are going to care more about how you got on and talked about their mother and encouraged others to publicly talk about their mother and shame their mother than you caring about them. And I know that Crystal, for lack of a better term, thinks she's so smart because she got her degree and everything, but I just don't think that that was a really, if for someone who cares about the kids so much and things like that, I just don't think that that was really a care about the kids. You wanted to get that off your chest because for some reason Cardi has irritated you, right? And don't get me wrong, I don't agree with everything Cardi does. I know that she just got into it with somebody for fat shaming. I don't agree with that whatsoever. That doesn't mean that I need to talk about her having a kid. I can say Cardi was wrong for saying what she said and fat shaming the fan and her fans to integrate and not bring her uterus and her children into it. The two things are not mutually exclusive. Now, one thing might have left a bad taste in your mouth about her, but that does not mean that you should judge her parenting and things like that. Another thing that people are, comparing and saying, oh, it's fine, blah, blah, blah. They always talk like that. Again, somebody who's been a fan, there was two interviews instances where Crystal and Kid Fury had, they were with Stevie J and Andrew Schultz, right? Stevie J of Love and Hip Hop, Menace, man, just terrible. And he was disrespectful to them on their podcast to their face. He was homophobic. He was misogynist. He was a lot of things that affected them personally. So yes, I completely understand somebody who is homophobic and ignorant who is coming on their platform, insulting them. I completely understand her cussing him out. Cardi did not do that. She's just having another baby. Okay? Same thing with Andrew Schultz. Andrew Schultz has been racist and misogynistic and ignorant. That affects her directly and masses directly. That's not the same as this Cardi read, okay? And it's okay to say that things that, maybe it was taken too far. And it's okay to also be like, man, I fuck with them, but I don't know about that one. There has been a couple things, again, about the read that I don't fuck with. I personally don't, along the same lines of somebody who has a lot to say about kids and how to parent kids. There's a lot of parenting advice that I think Crystal dishes out that I think is coming from a place of fucking la la land of like, yeah, it's all good and well to say that when you don't have kids and you are like, yeah, textbook, this is what you should do. People are human. Parents are human. And that's, again, not taking into consideration the extremes. I'm not talking extremes here. I don't think it's a big deal for somebody to be irritated in life in general, right? And then tell their kid, hush that up. Okay? I don't think there's anything wrong with, my mom told me to be quiet multiple times. I had to learn a lesson because I was going to keep talking back. And that's not how things were about to be run up in her house. Okay? I personally, there's a happy medium. There's a balance to everything. But not telling your kid and teaching your kids, stop it now, stop talking. Okay, there's plenty of times my mom lost her patience with me. It's fine. Again, barring the extremes. I think a lot of things get taken to extremes in the form of like whataboutisms. And as much as we all talk about, oh, we hate whataboutisms, we all do use whataboutisms sometimes. And I do think that the whole Cardi conversation, again, Cardi is not perfect by far. But when it comes to the amount of people talking about her choices when it comes to motherhood and what she does with her uterus, it got real far right real quick. Okay. And I know the funny thing is, it's like kind of like a inside joke that there's a thin line between the far right and the older Black community. A lot of older Black people actually uphold conservative beliefs and values. And that, for me, that's what it turned into. And that's what, when it comes to Cardi, that's what this conversation has turned into. I can't imagine also being pregnant and having this many people talk about me, call me a dumbass. I really can't. I would cuss every single last one of you out, right? Somebody came in, I think my comments on TikTok, and said, And something to the effect of, well, if there's nothing wrong with it, then why did Cardi herself admit to not telling her parents? First of all, who are you? Who are you? And what Cardi said was, yeah, it was not an ideal situation. And I hesitated telling my parents. Cardi's not saying, oh, well, get over it, blah, blah. She's being very honest and being like, I did not expect to be here. This was unexpected, but I know that I can do it because I've proven to myself that I can do otherwise. Again, Cardi don't owe me nothing when it come to them kids, because she's not asking me for nothing when it come to them kids. And I think that's the important thing to take away here. Everybody real grown. Real grown. Y'all say that it's about the kids, but it's not. I hear a lot of people talking like, oh, you have a responsibility to bring kids into this world and provide them with a healthy environment. Everybody thinks that their environment is healthy enough. Unfortunately, even drug addicts think that their environment is healthy enough that, oh, they'll get it together. They won't be like this when they have kids, blah, blah. Everybody thinks that they are doing what's best all the time. Everybody thinks that, even somebody robbing a bank, they know it's wrong, but to them, they're like, I'm robbing this bank for a reason, and that's what's best for me right now. Everybody thinks that they're doing what's best. Okay, so, and a lot of people think that they are bringing kids into the world what's best for them, thinking that they have the perfect partner, that sometimes shit falls apart. And again, parents are humans. They have to, when it comes to juggling their relationships and things like that, again, I'm going to say it over and over, barring extremes, not including extremes, they think that they are doing what's best and they are trying. Okay, I don't think because you're a parent you have to be perfect. You do need to do right by your children, but I think there's also power in being a parent and being like, I fucked up there. I don't know about that one. I don't know about that one. My mom has said to me a couple times, she's like, yeah, I don't know about that one. I did that and I don't know if that was the right decision, but here we are. We learned from it, okay? And that's fine. That's totally fine. I just think that this conversation is about Crystal and Cardi B, and Cardi B in general has taken a deep turn in different angles, right? For people defending Crystal, people defending Cardi, people defending whether or not they want to continue to listen to the read. Like I said before I started this, it's okay to take a break from the things that you love, the people you love. It'll be all right. All right. It'll be all right. Now, talking about extremes, something came across my desk. And I also want to talk about it. It has to do, unfortunately, with Love Island Season 7. I don't know what Jessie Woo did to Nicolandria. I think she unfollowed her. I don't know. Okay. People are upset. People are deep diving into Jessie Woo. I don't think that it's a secret that Jessie Woo has Jessie Woo has said some things, some very controversial things, and Lord above knows I do not agree with, I don't even want to say 25, I'll give 40%. I probably agree with Jessie Woo 40% of the time, probably. Okay, and that's being generous. Delivery as well, right? Very gorgeous woman. Oh, every time I see her, I'm just taken aback. Very gorgeous. In the grand scheme of things, whether it's Jessie Woo not unfollowing or Jessie Woo not believing in Nicolandria, I want to touch all of Nicolandria hands. If you're not watching me on YouTube right now, I'm squeezing. I'm not even going to put a napkin in between. I'm squeezing you tight. Y'all have got to let it be. And I love me some Nicolandria. I do. I think she's gorgeous. I follow her. Every picture I'm liking. Every story. Gorgeous. Oh, God. Sickening. I can't. I loved her. Every time I had a chance to vote to save her, I did it. Okay? I'm not worried about other people not liking Nicolandria. I'm going to support Nicolandria if she's doing something that I like. And I'm going to focus on, if you're such a fan, focus on the love. Supporting Nicolandria. Why are people checking Jessie Woo's follows? Why do you care so much to go attack that woman in her comment section about not supporting Nicolandria, not following her, not believing in Nicolandria? And that goes for Jordan Emmanuel from Martha's Vineyard, Summer House Martha's Vineyard as well. All roads lead back to Bravo, right? I she said she was getting asked a question. I think the interviewer asked her about like, I think it said like, they said like, Nicolandria, are you team Nicolandria or team not? And she said she was skeptical. First of all, she got asked. She got asked, y'all want people to be honest, or you want you want to bully them into lying? And do you like Nicolandria? Do you believe in Nicolandria? I get the implications, that a white man cannot be in love or like a dark-skinned black woman. I get it, and I'm here for the cause, and I was hoopling and hollering right along with y'all. But, again, holding the hands, can't hear my nails. That does not always mean, that somebody who is not a Nicolandria believer is because they do not support dark-skinned black women and white men. I'm sorry. And I'm gonna tell you this. Before I know you're cussing me out. Nicolandria, please back up. I come in peace. Because they did tell us on the show, that when they kissed, when they had the chance, they just weren't feeling it. They have since came and told us other stuff. I don't care. Nicolandria was a figment of a lot of people's imagination until producers got involved, okay? It's not always a scheme that Todd set up. Unlike Ace, because y'all know, I don't think that Ace should have said that on that podcast, because he has a personal relationship with them, and he could have blocked Alandria's bags or anything like that. That's something that could have been said, handled in private. Unlike Ace, Jordan Emmanuel has no skin in the Nicolandria game. None of her deals rest on Nicolandria being together or not. Rest. It's okay. And this is just beyond Nicolandria. As somebody who has been a Love Island watcher forever, the public can persuade the producers to persuade the Islanders. Persuade is the key term here, okay? Because they cannot make them do anything. But they can persuade them to do things. Persuade. And you have to remember, these people, they have no knowledge of what's going on the outside. So a lot of times they're like, okay, they're in vulnerable states is what I'm trying to say. I don't want to be long-winded with it because this is still supposed to be a mini episode and we are at 32 minutes as I speak. There is producer interference. That's all I'm trying to say. And I want everybody, Love Island's supposed to be fun. And it's not supposed to be lasting into damn near October, right? Now, I could have chosen not to talk about it, but it was on my heart. The last thing that was on my heart, and I'm going to try and keep this wrapped up really quickly. Kalana Barfield, if you don't know who that is, she's a fashion designer, stylist. I love her. She came out with a clothing collection with Target. I want to say maybe 2021, when DEI was really popping and we were all, rooting for DEI. It wasn't trendy. Since then, right, we know Target has rolled back their DEI. Me and Taria have talked about, Black folks boycotting Target, whether they're going or whether they're not. Kalana Barfield launched another launch of clothes exclusively with Target. Hold on. Holding the hands again, because I know you're yelling. I'm not supporting Target, blah, blah, blah. She needed to go somewhere else. I get it. And we're going to tie this in to content creators and Jimmy Fallon, ABC and Disney. So what Kalana Barfield, before she launched this latest drop that was exclusively at Target, she posted a personal letter in which she said she started a brand and signed deals, ink to paper, before a storm that she did not foresee coming. When she did that deal, she thought it was foolproof. Target was, nobody was mad at Target when she signed on to do this and she agreed to do this. She did her one drop. This is the next one. She never foresaw that coming. So technically, she's bound. She does not have the money to get her out of that. Papers are signed. Same thing with Tabitha Brown. Same thing with, I think it's the lip bar. there are still black owned brands in Target, right? And what happens is, and this is a Target problem. I'm not trying to convince anybody to go shop at Target. I am talking to y'all because I see a lot of comments and critiques of Kalana, of Tabitha. And oh, you need to take your brand and go somewhere else. It's not that easy. While we look at the Tabithas, the Kalanas, as people who we have seen elevate into, above, into this stardom, that I think y'all are thinking they're more powerful than they really are. Because, and unfortunately, what happens when with these companies like Target, ABC, Disney Plus, Hulu, is that's the umbrella company, and then you have all these other brands underneath it, right? So you have Target, who ended, there was no longer committed to DEI, and Black folks as a whole are boycotting. I myself have cut back. I'm not going to sit here and lie to y'all. I'm not going to lie to y'all and tell you I have not been in Target since boycott. I have. It's the only place I could find my body oil, and I went in there and I got it for $12. I'm sorry. You can hate me for it. It's okay. But have I cut back majorly on going to Target? I have. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. What happens when they do things like, are having these boycotts is, what is the demographic of people that is boycotting Target? Black folks. They still have Black brands in Target that are bound to these contracts. And then what happens is, because the key demographics who support these brands in Target are not going, they then say, you were not beneficial to us. You've invested this time and money and blah, blah. Well, you don't perform well. Not taking into account that you have alienated and thrown out and pissed off the key demographics that would support those brands. So then it's a mind thing where they get them to feeling like, I didn't sell well, I'm a failure, blah, blah, blah. And that's what I want to focus on, right? You don't have to support Kalana, because a lot of people, she don't got a website she could put this on. She cannot. It's not that she's choosing to, because she's ride or die for the Target circle. She cannot. Okay? She can't. Now, to the lip bar and stuff, I'm pretty sure the lip bar is in other places, not just Target. So that's not really, no, I think the lip bar, I don't know. Don't quote me on the lip bar. But, and that's what Tabitha Brown was trying to explain to people as well. No one's telling you not to boycott Target. I completely understand and support anybody boycotting Target. But I've also seen, Black influencers who have, tried to say, I want to support Kalana, and unfortunately, this is the only way I can support Kalana right now. So I'm going to buy these for her. And who knows if she, can get out of this like the next shop. Who knows? I don't know the ins and outs. But when I see these people trying to add some nuance and draw a little bit support, again, there's no ethical consumption under capitalism, right? I see a lot of people, no, y'all need to stay strong. Y'all are weak. Y'all are this and this and this. I personally don't think that it's necessarily that people are weak and they're just dying to go into Target. Right? Just to be in the atmosphere and be around that little Target puppy, right? And get some Starbucks. I don't think that's why. I think there's a level of that they want to support because they are looking at the nuance and the topics. And I think that some people are so quick to try and look down on people and try and treat people like they're not as down for the cause, and you not as Black and you're not as this because you quote unquote folded and went into Target and supported a Kalana Barfield or a Tabitha Brown or anything like that. And I say that same thing when it comes to, of course, the Jimmy Kimmel of it all with ABC and Disney Plus. They lost so much money with the Jimmy Kimmel of it all. And I know personally a few bigger content creators that were really, really, really like freaking out because they had signed some deals with Disney and Hulu to promote some things, and now this whole thing is done, and those ads are still going to run. they still have to get paid for that work that they did. Or they've already turned it in and Disney is like, "Oh, I'm going to hold on to it for now and then that is theirs. Once you turn it in, that is Disney's to use with you sign a contract." Right? So then they're getting shit like, "Oh, wow, we're still supporting Disney. Oh, wow, we're still doing work for Hulu." When really that was filmed, that content was filmed 2-3 months ago, 4 months ago even, and they're just now putting it out. Now, I'm not going to blame Hulu or Disney and say that that's calculated on their part because I don't know. I don't know. I could see it. I could believe it. Right? Especially content creators of color, black content creators, things like that. I can believe it, but I don't know. So that's all I want to say there. Right? Same thing to bring it back to Target and bring it on home with the read. Start with the read, but end with the read. A lot of people were upset with the read because they were like, "Oh, you are getting into Cardi's ass like this, but you're still running Target ads." Contract. They don't have it. They cannot say, "I know that we listen to them go hoot and holler and stuff," but they are not contractually bound to that other stuff. Therefore, they are still running Target ads because they are contractually bound to. I'm sure if it were up to them, they would. Well, I don't know. I don't want to say if I'm sure if it were up to them, they would because I don't know those two, right? But everything, again, yeah, you got everybody capitalist monster, okay? Everybody capitalist monster. I'm just here to provide a little bit of nuance in it. But that's all I wanted to talk about. Little topics. This is 41 minutes longer than not 41 minutes, probably like good 20 minutes longer than I thought it was going to be. That's just what I wanted to touch on before we went into our regularly scheduled programming. I will be back later this week with a podcast episode talking about the shows, talking about all the things. Don't forget to drop down in the comments. Let me know how you're feeling about any of these topics. If you disagree or agree with anything that I said, I'm open to it. Let's just keep it respectful, and I will talk to y'all next time. Bye.